We are continuing on with our multiplication properties of exponents. This is part 2. So this first little bit is review of what we talked about the other day. So I'm just trying to multiply these two. So this is when you multiply your coefficients together first. So what's negative 2 times 6? Negative 12. And then you multiply your like variables with one another. So u squared times u to the 6th. And remember, whenever you multiply the same base, the rule is keep the base and add the exponents. So 2 plus 6 is 8. So far you've learned 2 rules. I want to review them real quick. If you're trying to multiply the same base together, the rule is keep the base, add the exponents. 3 plus 5 is 8. The other rule you learned is when you take an exponent to another exponent, when you raise an exponent to another exponent, you keep whatever your base is and you multiply the exponents. So 3 times 5 is 15. So those are the 2 things we learned in the last lesson. So just to review. Okay, B. So I see that I have a product inside my parentheses, so everything gets raised to that outside exponent. So the 2 gets raised to the 4th, the g gets raised to the 4th, and then the h to the 5th gets raised to the 4th. Well, here's a rule. Exponent raised to another exponent, multiply the exponents. So it's h to the 20th. And then I just need to work out 2 to the 4th. So what is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2? 16. So it's 16 g to the 4th, h to the 20th. And that's our answer. Okay, we have a little bit of some geometrical shapes down here. So our first one is a circle, and we want to express the area of a circle as a monomial. So does anybody remember the formula for area of a circle? It is pi r squared. Okay, well, remember the radius is the distance from the center of the circle to an edge of the circle. So this 2xy squared, that's the radius. So I'm going to put it into the r. So I'm going to recopy the pi. I'm going to slap my parentheses down where my r is. I'm going to put 2xy squared in place of the r. And then the squared still goes on the outside. So it's pi times my radius squared. Okay, I'm going to ignore Mr. Pi for a minute. And I've got a product. So everything gets raised to that outside exponent. So 2 gets raised to the 2nd. X gets raised to the 2nd. Okay, exponent to exponent, multiply exponents. Y gets raised to the 4th. Let's clean this up. How much is 2 squared? 4. Recopy the x squared, the y to the 4th. And then Mr. Pi, he's going to drop down in the back. And that's the area of this circle. And if I wanted to give it a unit, if I wanted to label it, I would say square units. Area is typically like square inches, square meters, square feet. So since I don't know the units, I just say square units. Okay, this next shape is a triangle. Does anybody remember how you find area of a triangle? Either 1/2 base times height or base times height divided by 2. I'm going to go base times height divided by 2 because most people like that. So where the height of the triangle meets the base, that forms 90-degree angles. And the height always has to be straight up and down, and the height will always be connected to the base with a right angle. So our base is the 5c cubed d. I'm going to put 5c cubed d into the b. The height is always straight up and down and connects to the base. So the height is this 8c squared d to the 4th, and then divide by 2. Okay, first I clean up the numerator. So I start by multiplying the coefficients. So what is 5 times 8? 40. Now you're going to multiply your like variables. So start with the c's. And when you multiply the same base, you keep the base. What do you do with the exponents? Add them. When you multiply your d's, you keep your d. And what do you do with the exponents? Add them. What would you get? 5, because this has an exponent of a 1. You just don't see it. And 1 plus 4 is 5. Okay, then I just recopy the all over 2. At this point, I just need to clean it up. So what is 40 divided by 2? 20. So I get 20 c to the 5th d to the 5th. And that's the area of our triangle. Once again, they didn't give me units, so I'm just going to say square units. Okay, let's put everything together that we've learned. All right, if you see something with an outside exponent, we're going to have to take care of that. So let's first just clean this up. So remember, a product, everything gets raised to that outside exponent. Even the coefficient, people love to forget about him, but this 2 gets raised to the 4th, and a gets raised to the 12th. Exponent to exponent, you multiply the exponents. Let's just clean this up. What is 2 to the 4th? 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 16, so I have 16 a to the 12th. I'm going to slap it back down in parentheses. Now let's clean up the back half. In the back, I only have one thing in the parentheses. So the rule is raise an exponent to another exponent, multiply exponents. So that would give me a to the 9th. Okay. And now I'm going to multiply it with what I got after I worked out the first set of parentheses. So 16 times this 1 is 16. And then when you multiply the same base, you keep the base. And what do you do with the exponents? Add them, so you get 21, and that's my answer. Okay, next page. All right, always be on the lookout for outside exponents. If you see outside exponents, we got to take care of them. So here we go. Everything inside my product gets raised to that outside exponent. So 3 gets raised to the 2nd, x gets raised to the 2nd, and y gets raised to the 8th. Exponent to exponent multiply. Okay, let's clean this up before we move on. How much is 3 squared? 3 times 3. 9, so it's 9x squared y to the 8th. Okay, because I have something back here to multiply it with, I'm going to go ahead and put parentheses back around it. Okay, now let's work on the back half. Okay, I could do a variety of things here, but I don't want to confuse anybody, so I'm actually going to take care of this inside part first. Since all of this is raised to the 2nd power, I'm going to go ahead and take care of this part. So I'm going to raise negative 2 to the 2nd and y to the 2nd. Remember about those negative numbers, you want to put them in parentheses before you raise them to that power, and then y is going to get raised to the 2nd power. Okay, well, negative 2 squared means negative 2 times negative 2, which makes what? A positive 4, y squared. Okay, I'm going to put parentheses back around this, but don't forget, we're not done because we haven't done anything with that outside exponent of a 3. Okay, so I need to keep working this. So I have this product, everything goes to the outside exponent. So 4 gets raised to the 3rd, and y gets raised to the 6th, because 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, putting parentheses back around it. Let's clean up this 4 to the 3rd. What is 4 times 4 times 4? 64. And then I'm going to recopy my y to the 6th, put parentheses back around it, and I'm going to just go ahead and drop this down. So 9x squared y to the 8th. And just to make things pretty, I'm going to go ahead and drop it and recopy it in this step. And then up here, I'm just going to go ahead and put parentheses all around that. And then I'm going to remember that all of this here is raised to the 3rd. Just to show my work a little bit better. Okay, now I want to finish it up. So remember, we start with the coefficients. So I want to multiply my coefficients, 9 times 64, which makes 576. Now we go for like variables. There's no other x besides this guy, so I recopy the x squared. And then I go to multiply my y's together. So when you go to multiply your two y's, what do you do with the exponents? Add them, so it's y to the 14th. And there he is. Hopefully you guys can tell the difference when you add the exponents versus when you multiply. So just to review, you add exponents when you multiply in the same base, you multiply exponents. When you raise an exponent to another exponent, that's when you multiply the exponents. So hopefully visually you can tell the two differences between them. Okay, example 5. What would you do? You're multiplying the same base, so you keep your base and you add your exponents and you get m to the 6th. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay, example 6. I have a product inside my parentheses, so everything gets raised to that outside exponent. So I've got a negative here, and plus the fact that it's a fraction, I want to be very careful with him. So I'm going to put negative 3/4 in parentheses, and it's getting raised to the 3rd, and then my c gets raised to the 3rd. Okay, if the fractions bother you, we can make Mr. Calculator help. So in my calculator, I'm going to go parenthesis, negative 3 divided by 4, close my parenthesis, and then I'm going to raise it to the 3rd power, and then I'm going to go math enter, and I get negative 27 over 64. Okay, so this makes negative 27 over 64, and then I just recopied the c cubed because there was nothing else to do with that. And there it is. Okay? Number 7. Be on the lookout for outside exponents. Do you see one here? No. See one here? No. See one here? No. All right, so I'm just ready to start multiplying. So I start with all of my coefficients first. So I want to take 8 times negative 3 times 3/8. So one thing I could do real quick is if I took the 8 times the 3/8, I just want to show you off to the side here. If I took 8 times 3/8, remember this 8 is understood to be over a 1, so I could cross reduce first. If you divided both of those by 8s, they turn into 1s, which basically, shoop, they just go away. So all you're left with is a 3, and then you have the 3 to multiply with the negative 3, and you get negative 9. Now if you didn't follow, I could make the calculator help me. I want to take my 8 times my negative 3 times my 3/8. And if I just put all that in the calculator, I can get the negative 9 that way. Now let's go to x's. So x squared times x would give me x to the 3rd, because you add exponents. This one has an exponent of a 1, you just don't see it. Now let's multiply our y's. When you go to multiply your y's, you keep your base and you add all your exponents. So what's 3 plus 2 plus 4? 9. And that's our answer. Okay, example 8. I see outside exponents, so I need to deal with those. All right, here we go. The product, everything gets raised to the outside exponent, so it would be p to the 20th, r to the 8th. When you raise an exponent to another exponent, you multiply the exponents. Okay, I'm going to put parentheses back around that because I've got more things to multiply it with. Let's take care of this guy here in the middle. So negative 7 gets raised to the 2nd. I'm going to just do this on my sticky real quick. Negative 7 gets raised to the 2nd. And make sure you put parentheses around those negatives and those fractions that get raised to exponents. What is negative 7 times negative 7? A positive 49. Okay. P gets raised to the 6th. R gets raised to the 8th. Because you're multiplying the exponents when you have an exponent raised to an exponent. Okay, and then in the back, there's no outside exponent, so I'm just going to bring all that down. Okay, now that all the outside exponents have been taken care of, we want to start by multiplying the coefficients. So I see a 49 and a 6. So I want to take 49 times 6. That makes 294. And then I start multiplying like letters together. So I'm going to start with the p's. So p to the 20th times p to the 6th times p. That would give us p to the 27th. The rule is when you multiply the same variable, you add the exponents. Now the r's. When you go to multiply all your r's, you keep the variable, add the exponents. What would you get? 19. Okay, one last problem. He looks a little funky, but it's not that bad. Okay, we just need to know our rules. When you raise an exponent to another exponent, what do you do with the exponents? Multiply them. So w times x is just wx. Okay, back here. What do you do when you raise an exponent to an exponent? You just multiply the exponents. So y times z is yz. I'm going to go ahead and put parentheses back around both of these because it wanted me to multiply them together. Okay, so now I'm just trying to multiply the same base together. Whenever you're trying to multiply the same base together, you keep that base, whatever it is, and then what's the rule with the exponents? You add them. So wx plus yz. I just can't actually add them. So it just stays wx plus yz, and that's it. Smiley face!